Hey everybody, hope you all are doing well. Today, our project is focusing on understanding how Jupiter shields Earth from asteroids. Now, asteroids are something that we have all heard about, but are something that don't really impact or affect our everyday life. Now, for our project, we really want to understand why this is. We know they're really prevalent in our galaxy, and we know that there's a lot of them out there. Why don't we see or experience many of them here on Earth? So this project is going to try and understand how Jupiter is connected to the reason why we don't have a ton of asteroids constantly hitting us here on Earth. So just to contextualize and talk about the relationship between Earth and Jupiter to each other, uh, Jupiter is almost 11 times the size of Earth and just under 318 times as massive. Jupiter is composed primarily of gaseous and liquid matter, while Earth is a terrestrial planet, which means it's mostly made of silicate minerals and metal, which fancy words just for rocks, basically. And Jupiter is about 5.2 times farther from the sun compared to Earth. That's a lot farther out. Some other fun facts about Jupiter is the fact that they have over 67 moons surrounding them as a planet. The fact that that red dot that you could see on the bottom left of the planet is actually a giant storm that's been going on since the 1600s. And the fact that they have a very strong gravitational pull.
So looking at asteroids now, simply put, they're actually leftover rocks from the formation of our solar system from about 4.6 billion years ago. Within asteroids, there's three classes. There's the C-type, the S-type, and the M-type. Starting with the C-type, this is the Carbonicus asteroids. They're most common, and they're gray in color. This is because they're made up of clay and a stony silicate rock. And then these type of asteroids are found mostly on the outer region of the asteroid belt. The second type, the S-type, or the silicate asteroids, they're a little bit less common than the C-type. They're grayish or reddish in color, and this is because they're made up of silicate materials and nickel iron. And this type of asteroid can be found within the inner side of the asteroid belt. Lastly, we have the M-type. This is the metallic asteroids, and they make up the rest of the asteroids as they are reddish in color and they're made up of nickel iron. And these can be found within the middle region of the asteroid belt. So every day there's countless of asteroids that shoot towards the Earth, but many of them end up burning actually before hitting the ground because they're small. And we see this all the time, especially when you go stargazing, because we call them shooting stars. And through research that we've conducted, we found that asteroids are like a double-edged sword because we needed them as they carried important things such as water and precious metals, but they can also destroy us. As you can see in the photo below, it would take about a 500-foot asteroid for it to be very deadly.
So there are about 1.1 and 1.9 million asteroids that are bigger than a half-mile wide that are circling us. That's pretty cool because those asteroids are literally gigantic and could just absolutely demolish Earth. But because Jupiter is so big, it's pulling them away and keeping us safe. Most of the asteroids are rock, but some are stone and some even contain metals. So it's pretty cool that here on Earth, we share some of the metals and materials that are on these giant asteroids that are floating in space. And this doesn't even include the tens of millions of smaller asteroids that can be anywhere from a baseball size all the way up to half-mile wide. So it really is pretty cool about how much asteroids are actually in space that are being pulled away by Jupiter to protect us.
And although that Jupiter is so far away from the sun, it still has a very strong gravitational pull. And this is what kind of causes the asteroids to not hit Earth. They're constantly being pulled back towards Jupiter and out of the path of Earth, which is very good. And Jupiter's gravitational pull is so strong that even if a asteroid does get near Earth, it will still be able to keep it away because Jupiter will pull you up 34 million times greater than Earth will pull you down. So if we were any closer to Jupiter, we would be pulled out of the planet with no problem whatsoever. So that's pretty cool.
So as you can see in this super cool little video, you can see all these little red and green dots. Those are asteroids. And then you can see Jupiter right there. And these asteroids are just kind of chasing Jupiter. So without Jupiter, all these flying rocks would just be going right through us and it'd be absolutely demolishing us. So we'd all be dead if it wasn't for Jupiter. So we have Jupiter to thank for our life.
And here are our citations. Thanks so much for listening in.